Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon, early evening. Thank you so much for RSVPing to this really important HNU Town Hall on unpacking the TK 12 Education Trailer Bill, Assembly Bill 130. So over the next about hour or so, I will go through the elements of the trailer bill, and Brad Henry, who you know is our operations coordinator, and Barney Wong, who is our credential analyst, and myself will answer questions and present. Alejandra, who is our student worker, is going to manage the chat. So if you have questions as we are talking about the different elements, put them in the chat, and then at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, we'll answer all of the questions. So Brad, if you will click to the next slide. So you have officially been welcomed. This is our agenda: framing of the Assembly Bill, review of the basic skills requirement, review of the subject matter competency requirement, documentation of courses and assessments, Q&A, and closing. So what I want to make really clear to everybody is that the basic skills requirement and subject matter competency requirements are not going away. I know that in the media, it may have said CBEST and CSET are going away. They are going away as the only way that you can satisfy the basic skills requirement and the subject matter competency requirement. There are now more pathways to address the basic skills requirement and the subject matter competency requirement. So that is the great news. And I will say that many of you know our well-regarded faculty member, Kitty Kelly Epstein. For the last 30 years, she's been fighting against these assessments. So it's a great day for us to see that her work has not been in vain now that we have more pathways. So if you will go to the next screen. So now I'm going to talk about the basic skills requirement. You can click it. So there is a basic skills requirement. On this slide are all of the options that you have to satisfy the basic skills requirement. About 90% of people take the CBEST, and so they satisfy basic skills in that way. If you have taken the SAT after March of 2016 and you have a score of 570 for math, or 560 for reading and writing, you can, you can leverage your SAT scores to satisfy the basic skills requirement. If you took the SAT before March of 2016 and you had a score of 550 in math, or in critical reading or verbal, a score of 500, you could use your scores to satisfy the basic skills requirement. For the ACT, if you had a math score of 23 or an English score of 22, you could leverage those to satisfy the basic skills requirement. If you took AP courses and you got a score of 3 or higher, you could leverage your AP test scores for the basic skills requirement. If you were a multiple subjects candidate and took the multiple subject CSET plus writing and passed it, that satisfied subject matter competency and the basic skills. Now, what this new Assembly Bill allows for is for college coursework in reading, writing, and mathematical reasoning to satisfy the basic skills requirement. If you go to the next slide. So You may now take classes. The courses, again, fall into 3 categories: reading, writing, and mathematics. The classes must be classes that can count for a bachelor's degree. So if you took classes at a community college, they need to be UC or CSU transferable to a 4-year university. Only the classes that fall into the 3 categories that you've earned a B grade or better can satisfy one of the categories, the category that you choose of the basic skills requirement. So what we did is we looked at the courses that are offered at Holy Names to give you some examples of courses that would satisfy the 3 categories. So when we look at reading, an example of a course that would satisfy the reading requirement would be the English 1A or 1B course that you take at a lot of 4-year institutions. Anything in literature. So at Holy Names, English 151 is a children's literature class. We have English fiction, which would satisfy as literature, Latin American literature. So we know that you've gone to many different colleges and universities. Maybe you have a literature class in African American writers, Latinx writers, Asian writers, British writers. So lots and lots of literature classes. If you've taken one and you've earned a B or better, it definitely may be a candidate to satisfy the reading category of the basic skills requirement. They also list philosophy. So in the Holy Names course offerings, philosophy 140, the human person, would be an example. If you have a reading course in your transcript, a rhetoric course, or textual analysis, we couldn't find any examples in the Holy Names catalog of course offerings, but you may have one in your transcript from your particular bachelor's degree granting institution. If you go to the next slide. And so then the next one is writing. Composition would count. Again, English 1A or 1B, rhetoric class, written communications. So an example of that in the Holy Names course offerings would be English 109, which is a writing across the curriculum course, and it's feature writing and blogging. And then writing English 107, which is creative writing. And then for mathematics, I think this is probably the one that is the most straightforward. It's geometry, mathematics at Holy Names. The following courses would satisfy: Math 7, which is mathematical reasoning, Math 1, pre-calculus, Math 11, Calculus 1, and then Calculus 2. Maybe that's supposed to be Math 12. And then for quantitative reasoning, an example would be Math 60, probability and statistics. And then for statistics, Psych 63 or Econ 15. So these are examples of classes by category. And if you will put in the chat the grade that you must earn to be able to use these classes as to satisfy your subject matter competency, I'd be grateful, because this is checking for understanding. Yes, that's right, a B or better. Now I need to say a B minus is not a B. It has to be a 3.0 B. All right, so this is so that is the snapshot for the basic skills requirement. For subject matter competency, there have been some more options. Cannot be credit. It has to be a B on your transcript. B or better. Thank you. Okay, go to the next slide, please. So to satisfy subject matter competency for multiple subject candidates, we know that there is the multiple subject CSET, but now you can leverage majors to demonstrate that you've met subject matter competency. So for multiple subject credential candidates, you can complete a major in liberal studies or interdisciplinary studies as long as those majors cover the areas delineated by the bullet point. Most liberal studies majors already cover the categories in the bullet points. This is not necessarily true for interdisciplinary studies majors. So if you majored in interdisciplinary studies, then what you would need to establish is that your interdisciplinary studies major has the breadth to cover the categories on the PowerPoint. So I see people saying, what about this? What about that? It's a clear no. It has to be liberal studies or interdisciplinary studies. Interdisciplinary studies is it's something like liberal studies, but it's not liberal studies. The grades can go back as far as when you completed your bachelor's degree. So for example, I graduated in 1984. If this had been in place when I was trying to be a teacher, then I would have been able to use my subject A and subject B courses. So there's no time limit on your transcript. It's whenever you completed your bachelor's degree. For multiple subject candidates, the degrees that are on the slide are the only degrees that can be used to establish subject matter competency for elementary school teachers. So the majors that are on the screen are the only majors that satisfy subject matter competency if they have the breadth of the areas in the bullet points for elementary subject matter, not history, not communications, not environmental science. None of those will satisfy subject matter competency for multiple subject candidates. It has to either be liberal studies or an interdisciplinary studies or an interdisciplinary major that addresses all the content areas of the multiple subjects credential, which are presented in 3 bullet points on this screen. All right, if we can move to the next one. All right, so now for the single subject credential, those candidates have more options. So there's been the single subject CSET examination, and now you can use your majors to satisfy subject matter competency if you want to get a credential in a specific area that we are able to offer credentials in. So if you'll go to the next slide, Brad. So for single subject candidates, candidates may leverage a completed degree major in one of the subjects of single subject credential defined in statute. Below are the subject areas Holy Names is approved to recommend you for a credential in. So art, if you majored in art and you want to be an art teacher, you can leverage your academic major to satisfy subject matter competency. If you majored in English and you want to be an English teacher, you can leverage your English major for subject matter competency. Health science, which Barney could tell us what single subject science areas the health science major might satisfy this, what you would be able to teach if you have a health science single subject credential. If you majored in math and you want to be a math teacher, you can leverage your math degree for subject matter competency. If you majored in music and you want to be a music teacher, you can leverage your music major for subject matter competency. If you majored in PE, you can leverage your PE degree for subject matter competency in PE. Any of the sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, and so forth, you can leverage that for subject matter competency if you want to be credentialed in those areas. Social science is where the history, political science, those majors would come into play. And world languages, meaning meaning Spanish, French, Mandarin, all of those would be world languages. You cannot leverage a liberal studies major for subject matter competency in a single subject credential. And so I would imagine, I think I saw ethnic studies or African American studies we would say that those could be leveraged for social science. And then mass communications is a degree in liberal arts and it's interdisciplinary. So mass communication does not cover the broadness of the areas of the multiple subjects credential. So that's the reason that it can't be leveraged for subject matter competency. The interdisciplinary major has to be broad and cover the three areas, the categories covered in those 3 bullet points. Okay. So we'll get to hands in just a minute. And then for those of you who are ed specialist moderate credential candidates, you have been able to take CSET examinations in any of these areas to satisfy subject matter competence. But now the trailer bill also says you too can leverage a major to satisfy subject matter competency. And those majors are the following. So you can leverage a liberal studies or an interdisciplinary major that addresses all the content areas of the multiple subject credential, which are delineated in these 3 bullet points. So for multiple subjects or mild moderate, if you've done liberal studies and your liberal studies or interdisciplinary major covers the categories that are delineated in the 3 bullet points, then you can use it for subject matter competence. They also will allow you to use a major similar to those who have specific disciplines similar to the single subject candidates. And so we'll go to the next slide so that you can see. Oh, so if you go back one and then go back one more, Brad. So yeah, so the same majors that you would have for single subject matter competence can also be used for to establish your subject matter competence for the ed specialist mild moderate. Okay. So let me see something right. That's exactly right, Ava. Okay, so for documentation of the basic skills requirement, this is what we need you to do. If you feel like you have taken courses in those 3 areas, reading, writing, and mathematics, that you got to be or better in, and you say, hey, instead of taking the C best, I want to show you that I have taken these classes and I've earned a B, and this is what will satisfy my basic skills requirement. These are the things you as the student need to do. 1, review your transcripts for applicable courses. You cannot email us and say, look at my transcripts and tell me if there's anything that will count. That's not the way this works. As the student, you need to look at your transcript, and if you identify courses that you think are aligned to those 3 areas, reading, writing, and mathematics, you will find the course descriptions in your university catalog. So you'll go to your catalog and you'll find the description of the course you took that you believe will satisfy the basic skills requirement. You will copy and paste the descriptions of applicable courses onto the verification of basic skills requirement form. We have a draft of the form that we will show you tonight. Within the next 2 weeks, it will be made available in a fillable form version so that you can type right into it and complete it. Once that form is completed, you will email it to Brad or Barney, and you'll email it Monday through Friday, because we will respond to you within 2 weeks of receiving it Monday through Friday. Do not send it on a Saturday or a Sunday, because we do not work unless we have events on campus on Saturdays or Sundays. So email will now allow you to schedule a send. So if you're thinking about it on the weekend and you want to fill it out, that's great, but schedule it to send so that Brad and Barney receive it on a business day. Business days are Monday through Friday. Once the School of Ed receives it, we will review the completed verification of basic skills requirement form. If it's not completed, we won't review it and we'll send it back and we'll tell you we don't have the descriptions. So we can't review it. Once we review it, we'll send you the form back with the decision within 2 business weeks of receipt of the form. And then we will place the verification of the form with the decision in your student electronic folder. Now, the good thing about the new assembly bill is that you have some flexibility. Maybe you took the CBEST and you passed 2 sections of it. Maybe you passed reading and you passed the writing section, but maybe you didn't pass the math section. Well, on this form, you would indicate that you have taken and passed the reading section, you've taken it, the date, and say you've done the same with writing, you would put when you've taken it, that you've passed it. We need a copy of your score sheet, but maybe you didn't pass math. Well, you can take a class now to satisfy the math portion of that, and you would put the description of the math class, and we would see the transcript. Yes, thank you, Barbie. That verifies that you've earned a B or better. So it's no longer an all or nothing. You can mix it up with C best scores and courses to establish that you've met the 3 sections of the basic skills requirement, which are reading, writing, and math. Okay. let's go to the next one. And so now for subject matter competency, it's going to be a similar process. If you majored in liberal studies at Cal State East Bay, you would, and you want to be either a multiple subjects teacher or an ed specialist, you would fill out a similar form saying, I majored, this is what I majored in, and I want to leverage my major for subject matter competency for whichever credential you're pursuing. If you want to be a math teacher and you majored in math, you fill out this form saying, I want to use my math major to satisfy subject matter competency. You fill it out and you submit it to Brad and Barney, and we will do the same process. So there, okay, so. No, Kim, it doesn't work the same way for CSET. As far as I know, Barney, you may have a different answer for this. The question is, if you've passed 2 parts of the CSET, can you take a class to show competency in the other subject? I don't know that that is possible. Barney, do you have any information on that?
The commission did mention that a combination of the two is an option, but they haven't clarified what kind of courses align with the sections yet. So
okay,
we're still awaiting further clarification from the commission at this time.
Okay. All right, so we are at the end and now we have time for questions. So Alejandra, I attempted to answer some as I was seeing them. Are there any other ones? Let's see.
I think you answered all of them.
Okay, Paul Gates has his hand up. Paul?
Yeah, so for my bachelor's degree, I actually have a degree, my major is kinesiology and adaptive PE. Would that work for the PE CSET category?
Barney, do you have an answer to that?
So that would follow through what I noted earlier, was that kind of specific coursework and degree clarification would hopefully be coming from the commission. At this time, it's a straight, A to A comparison for degrees right now, as far as what they've disseminated to the field.
All right, thank you, Barney. Has to, Georgia, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but the statute is very clear that it's liberal studies or interdisciplinary studies for multiple subjects candidates and ed specialist candidates. Liv?
I have a question because I'm a transfer student. And then for my math class, I took it in over the sea. I took it in China. Can I use those credit for the CBAC?
If they have gone through the, the equivalent, Mariah is on here. Mariah, what is it? What is that called when you've gone to school in another country and then to bring those units into a US institution?
It's a international transcript evaluation, a course by course evaluation. One of the most popular organizations that does this. It's called WES. But
Please
there
mute.
are.
Hold on, I'm sorry, Mariah. If you
Okay.
are not called on to talk, please mute. We hear some, thank you. Okay, go on, Mariah.
Yes, but there are, it's an international course by course transcript evaluation. So WES, W-E-S, is probably the most well-known organization, but there is an entire list of approved organizations. I'll try to see if I can pop the ones that are approved into chat so that you don't have to hunt down the page and scroll through it to the section that has the appropriate information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you believe that you have post baccalaureate courses that are part of a degree that you think might satisfy CSET, well, CBEST, then you should fill out the form. The Masters of Ed would not satisfy a CSET. It's not broad enough to satisfy a subject area for subject matter competency. Okay. Oh, Kelly?
Hi, I was curious if we think that our like SAT scores would satisfy the CBEST requirement. So is that a process that we need, like, so we would need to submit that information to you, and then I guess I'm just wondering like how that is officially satisfied, like
Yes.
what procedure is done, like where do I need to submit something somewhere, or yeah.
Yes, so you would get a copy of your SAT scores, and you would fill out the verification of basic skills requirement form. If you, Brad, can you go back to that slide that has the scores on it?
Yeah, sorry about that. Give me 1 second here. I'm going the wrong way.
Okay, so the scores on the screen are the benchmarks for satisfying the basic skills requirement. So we would need to see a copy of your SAT or ACT, and you would fill that form out.
And then from there, you would be the one to communicate with the I'm blanking on the commission to then, or is it like who would be sort of signing us off that we're all taking care of it, like?
So on the last, so the process is you would submit your paperwork, and then we will send it back to you so that you can see, the disposition, and then it will go into your student file. And our credential analyst, Barney Wong, is tracking he has a master sheet for everyone. And in the same way that he does currently around, when he gets your official test scores, he notes it on that form. The verification of the meeting the basic skills requirement would be part of your official record, and that would be the documentation that he uses to establish that you've met the basic skills requirement.
I see. Great. Thank you.
So I know there's a question between liberal studies and liberal arts. It absolutely has to be a degree that covers the categories of the multiple subjects credential. So if you believe that your undergrad degree does that, you should check in with your degree granting institution and tell them what you want to do. I majored in liberal arts. I want to make sure that my liberal arts degree is broad enough to satisfy subject matter competency for multiple subjects. And you can let them see the categories that are delineated in the statute. When Brad sent this meeting announcement out, he attached the actual language from the commission to that email. So you would take that actual document to use when you're conversing with your degree granting institution so that they are clear about what you are asking about with your degree if you have a degree in liberal arts. Okay, there are a couple hands raised. Jasmine and then Emery.
Hi, I have a question for regarding the list that you have mentioned of the classes that qualify. I'm wondering, do we have to take have all of the classes to be able to be satisfied, or if we have a few of it would qualify?
Oh, there are 3 categories. So for reading, these are one of any of those.
So it just could be just one course. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be all of it.
No, just one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, just one class. And they would be one class in any of these areas with a B or better would satisfy the reading requirement.
And is there like a link that we could find that shows what are the list of courses that qualifies?
No, what we did was we looked at the courses that are offered by Holy Dames that are examples of like a critical thinking course, a literature course, a philosophy course. We didn't find any that were like a pure reading course or a rhetoric course or textual analysis. You can look for courses at the community colleges, but those courses must be transferable to a UC, a CSU, like a 4-year. Emery?
Yes, I have 2 quick questions. Just for clarity, will a BA in music, is that considered liberal arts?
No, that is considered music.
Okay.
So that would not help you for a credential, a multiple subjects credential. But if you earned a single subject in music, then it doesn't take you out of, if you used it for subject matter competency in music, it doesn't satisfy the subject matter competency for multiple subjects.
Completely understood. So the second part of my question would have been, with submitting appropriate documentation and transcripts for my music degree, will that make it possible for me to get single subject authorization, even though I am a multiple subject credential person?
It would satisfy subject matter competency. Oh, I see what you're saying. If you get a multiple subject credential, will that satisfy? So Barney, what do you think?
No. Well, I want to make sure my question is clear. So I'm doing the multiple subject credential. That's
right.
Let's just say that's done.
Okay. Right.
So with my music degree, am I allowed to submit documentation to get single like authorization to teach music as well?
Got it. Barney?
So Emery, assuming that you mean after you completed our multiple subjects program and want to add to qualify for a single subject in music, that would be an evaluation, a direct evaluation application with the commission. We would not be the one that would do the evaluation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, Katie?
Hi, I have two questions, and I think one of them is going to be a repetitive one, but I just want to make sure that I'm understood completely. So you do not yet have what the courses that would be applicable for the CSET CSET multiple subject subtests, and I'm asked, right, if that's correct? From the commission, I guess. I'm asking because I have passed one of the subtests, and so I'm curious if I can then have coursework that will complete for the other two subtests.
Right, that you are correct. I understand Barney to say that the commission has not they have not disseminated that information. We don't know if it has been established yet.
I did read, though, that they did say you could do a combo of a completed subtest with coursework, right? Is that, but they just haven't figured all the details out yet then.
Is that correct, Barney?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I should hold off on completing a form until they've come out with that information?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, I don't want to inundate emails if I don't
Right.
need to just yet.
Right, yeah, just hold off. We are currently working on the verification forms for the basic skills requirement and the subject matter competency. We'll send those out within the next 2 weeks, so those forms are not available yet.
Okay, and my last question is, I have passed all the CSETs, but they expired. Is that hasn't changed? I still have to retake them or fulfill some requirement in some way, shape, and form. Is that correct?
Exam results are valid for 10 years. So hopefully you were under a lesser understanding. Exams are valid for 10 years.
Okay, I took them in 2007. So.
Oh. Okay.
Thank you.
So Barney, she has to reestablish subject matter competency, right? Because
that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ava?
Hi, thank you. Please forgive me if this is redundant in any way. I'm just like trying to really understand. So I have not taken any of the CSETs yet. And I don't have a major in liberal studies, and I don't have a major in interdisciplinary studies, but I did go to a liberal arts school, and I've taken coursework, and I think I've taken a class in human development, but like all of these different classes. But as of right now, from this commission, you need to have one of those two majors, this liberal studies and an interdisciplinary studies, to potentially satisfy this multiple subjects CSET.
Subject matter competency.
Okay. And from the last question, what I was just confused on is there a chance that there will be more information released from the CTC that will open that up to like specific coursework satisfying some of these requirements, like satisfying parts of the multiple subjects? Like if I've taken reading, language, literature, history, social science classes, is there a chance, is that what was being said, that something might be coming in the future where specific coursework might be applied for satisfying this requirement? It's just not out yet.
Barney, can you address that?
Right, at this time, we're still waiting further guidance from the commission. And until that comes, we can only evaluate on the straight criteria that they did establish currently, that is by the degree.
Okay. So it's sort of, but there is like a floating TBA on clarification, that like for clarification is expected.
Right. The commission, they just dropped the big news, and as far as the subject matter competency requirement, they said further guidance is to come.
Okay, Great. And was there any timeline for that?
No.
No, they didn't mention
Mm-mm.
anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Jess, did you have your hand up that I accidentally put down? Jess?
No, I have a real hand.
Okay, no, I I thought you had your hand up and I thought I accidentally put it down. So it's your turn now.
Okay. So here, I'll put on my, so it's more convincing or something. So multiple subject CSET. I think a lot of people in the program, the Batty program, are kind of, you know, studying for that right now, and I'm planning on taking it in the next like 2 weeks, because these, you know, the completed classes haven't come out yet, and it's kind of gray area. Would you suggest just like, you know, continue to study and take the CSET and try and pass, and don't worry about the, you know, if specific classes would count in the future, like don't worry about that right now, just take the multiple subject CSET?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Donna?
Hi. So I have I have an AA associate's degree in liberal arts and social and behavioral sciences. I'm just wondering if that would count towards me not having to take the CSET. All of the courses that I took to get this AA degree was 4-year transferable.
So do you have a bachelor's degree in liberal studies or interdisciplinary studies?
No, I have my bachelor's in sociology.
Okay, so it's not a associate level degree, it's a bachelor's degree.
Gotcha.
So what could be the case is when the commission is clearer about individual courses, then some of your courses that were transferable at, you know, that you took for the AA may be courses that can be leveraged towards this, but we just don't, the commission has not given us any information on that yet.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Paul?
For the special ed single subject, which major would you need for physical education?
Barney, that I'm gonna
Right.
pass that to
That
you.
kind of detailed criteria is still going to be. We're still awaiting the commission to clarify for that.
Okay.
Emery?
Yes. Okay, last question, just for clarity. Okay, so, all right, for us multiple subject credential people who are like at the very end of our credential, the very, very, very end, but have not passed one portion of the CSET. I'm hoping I'm asking this for somebody else. And we have to pass it before being recommended for our credential, yes or no? And Barney, please forgive me if you already answered this and I just need clarity.
Okay, Barney.
So CSET, or rather subject matter competency, the requirement for that still remains to qualify for the preliminary credential. So yes, all students would need to have that addressed before we can recommend them.
It needs to be passed before
Yes.
I can be recommended.
Right.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Okay, Carolina?
Hi guys, yeah, I'm from the Batty program. I just had a question. I know we have to pass our CSETs before January. Is that deadline still firm, or is it going to be flexible and we're just gonna wait until, like Emery said, until we get our preliminary credential?
Say that one more time.
So for Batty students, we have until January to pass our CSET.
Uh-huh.
Is that gonna stay till January or will it be extended?
The commission, Brad, do you remember what drove the January date? If it was,
I need to clarify first.
Yeah.
Carolina, are you a part of the new cohort? And you're asking about this being ahead of field placement, or did you take advantage of a waiver and you're
Well-
asking about it at the
well-
end of the program?
Well, what I understood was that we need to pass our CSATs before January or we get dropped from the program.
oh,
Yeah, I mean, Barney, you can maybe allude or expound upon this, but my understanding is that you can still take advantage of the executive order to bypass the CSAT requirement to start your field placement if you do that by the end of August, right, Barney? And that's one way to do that. Otherwise, you would have to meet the requirements for basic skills and subject matter competency prior to starting your field placement, which is, I believe, what you're asking.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Natalie?
Yes, hi. So I have a question. If you have your BA in psychology and a minor in art theory, does that satisfy for multiple subject credential for the CSAT?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Barbie, I do not know if human development is considered interdisciplinary. We'll have to do some more digging to see if that's considered. As I said before, it would be good for you to go back to your degree granting institution and see if they have an interdisciplinary major there, and if the courses you took align with the interdisciplinary major. At Holy Names, the interdisciplinary major is like 3 concentrations to establish graduate studies. So it might be like diversity studies, music, and another area. And then there are 15 units in each of those areas, which constitute your upper division courses. So it's broader. It's almost like a self-designed major. So I don't have an answer for human development. My gut tells me it's not, but if your degree granting institution views it as such, then we would be open to knowing that and sort of thinking about what that could look like. Okay. Any?
Yeah, Dr. Mayfield?
Yes.
This is Georgia. My school is closed. They closed it down. So I'm trying to figure out where would I go to have my transcript evaluated. I went to John F. Kennedy, and so it's closed. So what should I do?
So what was your major?
My major was psych, but I got a BA in liberal arts with a minor in psychology. And then I went to the graduate school and got a master's with the concentration in child and adolescent psychology.
So Barney, would we direct Georgia to interface directly with the commission?
I'm sorry, Georgia. Your transcripts were your questions about your transcript.
Yeah, well, to find out, she said for us to go back to our institution, and
closed.
Yeah, but JFK closed.
Mariah put some information in the chat. I believe somewhere it should house the catalogs because
National University is responsible for anything that used to be under JFK University. So if you call that number that's listed there, which is, well, no, or I guess it's email for National University. The number is for, I guess.
Do you know if the
department.
campus, do you know if the, because I can go to the campus, do you know if the campus is still open over in Pleasant Hill?
I don't know.
Okay.
The information I pulled off of their website in regards to transcripts.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are they here, Brad?
They were when I did it.
Oh, we may need to do it again. You know, thank you. We are at the end of this town hall, and we have a raffle. And you know, you have to be present to win. So
well, let me ask you this. The two people that I drew were present the entire meeting, and they may have just signed off within the last minute.
okay,
or two,
well,
so
I
don't
see
know.
one of them.
Okay.
Maisha Fogel is one winner, and she is here. Do we see the other person?
Let me do another scan. I do see the other person.
Oh, okay. So Maisha and John are the winners of our raffle, and they will be receiving one $50 Visa gift card. So
thank you. I never win anything.
What the?
All right.
Wowzer.
Congratulations, you two.
Thank you.
So this concludes our town hall on
Thank you, guys.
Assembly Bill 130. You're welcome. It has been recorded. We have your questions, and we are going to turn those into an FAQ. And next week, we will have a similar town hall, but for the public. So if you have friends that always wanted to be teachers, but thought that the basic skills requirement and subject matter competency requirements were barriers, please invite them to come next week at 5:30 for a town hall where we can unpack it for them as well. So thank you. Have a great evening and enjoy the rest of your summer.